So in the last video, we talked about why you need to form an entity. But in this module, we're going to talk through some of the different entity options that are available for you to choose from when you're starting a business. Now, the first one we're going to talk through is corporations. Now, there's two different types of corporations. There's S corporations and C corporations, and we're going to talk about those in more detail in a later lecture. But for now, I just want to talk about corporations in a broad sense and go through some of the characteristics of a corporation. Now, first and foremost, a corporation is a legal entity that's formed by filing articles of incorporation with the state in which the entity is being formed. All 50 states allow you to form a corporation within them, and in order to do that, you need to file articles of incorporation with the appropriate governing body within the state. The governing body varies from state to state. In some states, it's the Secretary of State. In other states, it's called the Corporations Division. But essentially, in order to form the corporation, whatever governing body you need to file with, you just need to file this articles of incorporation with that body, and then your entity will be formed. A corporation is separate and distinct from its owners. So in the eyes of the law, there are owners of the corporation, and they are separate from the corporation itself. So just like you can be sued and be sued in your individual capacity, you can open a bank account in your individual capacity, you can enter into contracts in your individual capacity, a corporation can as well. So it's separate and distinct from its owners. And finally, a corporation has limited liability. So the owners of the corporation can only lose, like we talked about in previous videos, can only lose the value of the investment that they have in that corporation, and that's where their liability limit is capped at. So that is essentially some of the main characteristics of a corporation, but I also want to talk through kind of the structure of a corporation. So the owners of a corporation are called shareholders, and the ownership interest that an owner of a corporation holds, that a shareholder holds, is called a share of stock. That share of stock is part of the evidence that they have that they own a piece of that corporation. Now, the governing document, the document that stipulates how the entity is going to be run and operated and governed, is called the bylaws. That's what it's called for a corporation. And a corporation is managed by a group of individuals called the board of directors. Now, oftentimes the board of directors will delegate their authority for management in day-to-day tasks to like a CEO or a president, but there must be a board of directors in a corporation that is ultimately responsible for the management of the corporation. So that is kind of the basic overview of a corporation from a management structural perspective. Now, in the next video, I want to talk through some of the characteristics and management structure of a limited liability company.